Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning series for mathematics. Today's lesson is for students in grade 2, but all of you are welcome to join in. My name is Miss Kim and I teach 2nd grade at Grant Elementary in Spokane Public Schools. I will be your teacher for this lesson. Today, we will be learning how to measure the length of objects using metric units. For today's lesson, you may want to have some paper and a pencil. I'll give you a moment to gather your supplies. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's start by answering some basic questions. What are metric units and what is the metric system? You can see on the screen a definition of the metric system. It's a system of measurement based on tens. Now, so far in this school year, we've learned about standard measurement, which is what we use in our country to measure in things like inches, feet, and yards. Other countries may use the metric system to measure length, to measure weight, to measure volume. Today we're going to be talking about how they use the metric system to measure length. So what are some of the metric units in the metric system, especially the ones we use to measure length? Let's talk about centimeters, which is the unit we're going to deal with most today. You can see on the screen the abbreviation for centimeter is cm, and there's a picture showing you what centimeters look like on one side of a ruler, and on this ruler there are inches on the other side, which is usually what we see in school. A centimeter is a metric unit of length equal to 1/100th of a meter, or about 2/5 of an inch. So centimeters are smaller than inches. Some things that you've seen in real life that are about a centimeter long are ants, the width of a popsicle stick. So when I say width, what I mean is the distance from this end to this end. Let me see if I can do that in a darker color. That width is about 1 centimeter. The width of your pencil can sometimes also be about a centimeter. So the distance from one side to the other. When measuring larger objects, we use a metric unit called a meter. A meter, which is abbreviated with an M, is a metric unit of length equal to 100 centimeters, or about 39 inches. So it's really close to the length of a yard, if you remember how long a yard is from studying standard measurement earlier in the year. So when things get into hundreds of centimeters, things are bigger, sometimes it's easier to measure them in meters. Some things that you've seen in real life that are about a meter long are things like baseball bats. So the length of a baseball bat from one end to the other end is about 1 meter. Another length that's sometimes about a meter long is the distance from where a doorknob is on a door to the floor. That distance can often be 1 meter long. So let's take a moment to look at some pictures and think about what metric unit would be the best to measure each in. Which things should you measure in centimeters and which things should you measure in meters? At the top of the screen, you see a picture of a soccer field, a picture of a paper cup, a picture of a shoe, and a picture of a school bus. Think for a moment. Which of those things would be best measured in centimeters and which would be best measured in meters? Now would be a great time to turn and talk to someone near you if they're around and explain what you think and why you think it. So I hope you agree with me that the paper cup and the shoe would best be measured in centimeters because they're smaller. The football field or soccer field and the bus would best be measured in meters because they're a lot bigger. So let's do some practice measuring things in centimeters. On the screen I have a Pokemon card and a ruler, and I have the side that's measuring in centimeters closer to the object I'm going to measure so that it'll be a little easier. I'm going to move the Pokemon card to the end of the ruler where there's an imaginary 0 because that's where I want to start measuring from. So when I look at my ruler now and my Pokemon card, the end is at my 0, so where the centimeter count starts, and the other end looks like it's right around 9 centimeters. So I would say that this card is 9 centimeters long. I could also check by using this ruler kind of like how I would use a number line and count the jumps. See, there's 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 centimeters fill up that space. Okay, let's try another. On the screen you see a picture of a notebook where one end of the notebook is already on the end of the ruler and the other end of the notebook is right about here. So, how many centimeters long is this side of the notebook? I hope that you said that you see that the notebook is 12 centimeters long. I can also again do the same thing I did before and pretend it's a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 12 centimeters long, so I would write 12 cm to stand for centimeters. Okay, let's try measuring another object in centimeters. So I have a pen on the screen, but you can see that there's no ruler there yet. I do have the Pokemon card from before, which we know from measuring is 9 centimeters long. So let's take a moment to estimate using what we know. If we know that this Pokemon card is 9 centimeters long, about how long do you think that the pen is going to be? When I'm looking at the pen, I'm thinking it doesn't seem like it's that much longer than the card, so I don't think that the measurement is going to be very far from 9. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the Pokemon card, grab a ruler, and see how long the pen is. Okay. So if you have someone near you, you might want to take a moment to turn and talk. If not, just think to yourself, how long do you think the pen is based on what you see on the screen? Okay. So, a lot of times in my second grade class, a lot of people will think that the pen is 20 centimeters long because the end of it is at the 20 centimeter mark. But one thing that's really important to remember is that this time we're not starting at the end of the ruler. So just like on a number line, if we're not starting at 0, then that full 20 isn't how long the pen is. If you also think back to when we estimated, the pen didn't look that much longer than the Pokemon card, and 9 and 20 are a little far apart on the number line and on the ruler. So just like I said before, think of the ruler as a number line. We want to know the space between the number we started on and the number we're ending on. In this case, the pen is starting at 10 centimeters and ending at 20. So we need to find the difference between 10 and 20. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would say that this pencil is 10 centimeters long. And the way that we thought about it on the ruler, I could write in a couple of different equations. I could say 10 plus something equals 20, or 20 minus 10 equals something. Because in both cases we're finding the difference, or the missing add end. And in both of those cases, that missing number was 10. No, I'm trying my best to write a 10. So remember, if you can't start measuring from 0, you need to think of the length of the object as the difference between the number you start on and the number that you end on. Let's try measuring another object and starting again by estimating. So here we see an eraser and the pen that we just measured. Now we know that the pen is 10 centimeters long. Looking at the pen and the eraser, how long do you think the eraser might be? Go ahead and turn and share with a neighbor or family member. What do you think? So when I look at the picture, I think that the pen looks longer than the eraser. So I don't think the eraser will be 10 centimeters. I think it's going to be a little less. Maybe around 5 or 6, I'm not sure because it's an estimate. But I'm using what I know to make a really good strategic decision. So I know that if it measures over 10 centimeters, I'm probably not right. Okay, let's go ahead and let the pen go. And let's measure the eraser. Okay. Take a moment to think to yourself, and then talk about what you think and why. What do you think is the length of this eraser? Okay, so again, we didn't put the eraser on the ruler at 0. So we're not starting at 0, we're starting at 5, and it looks like the eraser goes to just about the 11 mark on the ruler. You know it goes a little bit over, but I'm going to use the 11 mark to start since that's a whole number. So if I look at the eraser, I think, what is the difference between 5 and 11? What does 5 need to make 11? If you take 5 out of 11, what would be left? These are all ways to think about the difference between those two numbers. And again, I can use the ruler just like I would use a number line. I might think of it counting by ones, or I might use some facts that I already know, like 5 and 5 make 10, and then 1 more makes 11. No matter which strategy I choose, I should be able to find that the difference between 5 and 11 is 6. So this eraser is 6 centimeters long. Now I know some people might be saying, it's a little longer than the 11 centimeter mark, and that's true. So to show that I know that, for right now, I'm going to write it's about 6 centimeters long. So now that you've learned some things about measuring in centimeters, what tools measure centimeters in your home? Your family might have some tools that already have centimeters marked on them, like measuring tapes. But make sure, if you're using one of these, that you're measuring in centimeters, not in inches, because they're very different units. If you don't have a tool that measures in centimeters at home, you can make one. Think about the popsicle sticks. I told you that the width of a popsicle stick is about 1 centimeter long. If you have a popsicle stick, you can use it to make a centimeter ruler. Just grab a piece of paper, line up the popsicle sticks with your paper, and make marks, and then write numbers to show how many centimeters you've gone so far on the paper. Once you've made your ruler, you're all set to measure in centimeters. So now that you have a measuring tool, how can you practice measuring in metric units at home? You could go around the house finding things that measure 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and see if you can find an object for each of those measurements. You could also use your centimeter ruler to measure drawings in chalk on the sidewalk, or maybe help your family make something. There are a lot of measurements that you need when making something like a desk or a table, or even if you're hanging up pictures on the wall. The possibilities are endless. I really enjoyed doing some math with you today. Thank you for joining me as you continue your learning at home. I look forward to seeing you again. And if you're looking for more activities, they can be found on the Spokane Public Schools Learning from Home website. Good luck!